Thanks for joining me to what I think will be an exciting update to what's currently happening in China. So this is fresh news. China doubles subsidies to encourage consumers to replace old cars. So this will obviously benefit some of the companies that we invested in. For example, NIO, but maybe also other companies like Tesla, Xiaopeng, and so on. Whenever they have a good offering for the Chinese consumers, but some of these Chinese consumers may have been a little bit reluctant in order to go out and buy a new car and have waited for something like this to happen, and also saving some money still for some most uncertain times that we're currently in. However, I want to take this as an example of something else. I want to zoom out a bit and take this to the bigger picture about the Third Plenum and Chinese economy, right? You remember, if you watched my last videos, I've been talking about this, that lately, the Chinese data that has came out around its economy, for example, the last GDP print, has been a disappointment. And not only to investors this time, but I think most importantly to the government themselves. So I said this raises the likelihood for stimulus to actually come. So I said the Third Plenum, or towards the end of the month with some more events happening, are likely to show this time short-term stimulus. And what did we get? Well, if you look into the media, I think you've seen some of these reports. The Third Plenum was a big disappointment, right? But I want to show you something else. I think it's actually happening not only with the subsidies here for cars, but we also had the rate cuts, which were a bit of a surprise, I think, even to investors this Monday. So that was an easing policy, some financial stimulus here, but overall, people were still not convinced. But I think, this is exactly what was not expected by the Third Plenum. This was short-term, targeted stimulus, and it's a couple of measures that will come out over time in the next couple of days and weeks, because I think the Chinese leadership now also thinks that, we want to reach our goals. I said that actually in my last videos and here also on Twitter, that the PCC has set this 5% GDP target, and they are currently not on a trajectory to reaching that. And therefore, I expect this time, in contrary to some of the last times where everybody was expecting stimulus, but it didn't come. And this time, I'm expecting something to come. Now, I don't understand why everybody is so negative about the Third Plenum and the outcomes, because there has been, if you look closely, those press releases and those texts are pages long, sometimes difficult to digest. But if you just take some of these bullet points here, there's lots in there, right? Of course, lots of that is long-term targeted. For example, which I really like to hear, pushing forward the reform on postponing retirement. So, that's an exact measure against the demographics challenge which they're facing with an older society. But the retirement age in China is so young, so they can actually increase the workforce quite a bit just by pushing up the retirement age. And it's in there, it's happening, and they are writing it down, they're publishing it. There are many more things which are market oriented, law based, for the private economy and so on, which they announced. But I think what's more important are the measures like we're seeing today with the doubling here, the doubling down on those trading programs for cars. These are very, very factual and straight targeted incentives. And again, something like these rate cuts. So, the stimulus is happening. It's short term. It's happening right now, plus the long-term outlook of what's going to come. By the way, again, I think when the Fed starts cutting rates, plus when the US elections are done, there might be even bigger packages, because they want the visibility, they want to be able to plan and to have this kind of foresight into where the stimulus is actually headed. It's not going to be this blind stuff into free money for everybody and coupons and so on. But I still expect some stuff also happening that is benefiting directly to Chinese consumers, maybe also the e-commerce platforms and so on. So I just want to put this out there. While I see the investor sentiment is super, super negative currently around Chinese stocks, and the negativity in the media takes around the Third Plenum are bottomless negative, I think the reality is different, and it's proof there with actions like today here with what's happening in the automotive sector. And again, I think we will get a stream of news in the next couple of days with examples like that. And I don't know why people don't see that as a positive. And frankly, those people will be surprised if the Chinese economy is not about to collapse in the foreseeable future, and if suddenly China is going to dominate a new sector, which they actually possibly have written down here in the outcomes of the Third Plenum and told everybody that they're going to do about that, but and doing so, but people just tend to ignore it. So that's maybe a contrarian different take to what you read out there, but thanks for watching and see you in my next videos.